Hi, Emily. My name is Liz, and I'm going to be your social worker. I'd like to lay out a little bit of some expectations so you know what we're kind of getting into. Everything that we talk about between you and I is going to be confidential, except if you mention an intention to maybe harm yourself or someone else. In that case, as a mandated reporter, I would have to report that, but anything besides that would be between the two of us. I'd like to ask if it's all right if I could take some notes, just to follow along. And with all that fun stuff out of the way, I'd love to hear a little bit about you and why you're here today.
All right, so I'm here mostly because I understand I have a little emotional, I'm pretty emotional. To me, it's just being a teenager, because I've looked up on stuff on it, and to me it's just being a teenager, but my mom and a few of my closer teachers suggested that I talk to someone about my emotionalness.
Okay. So what type of emotions are you feeling, and maybe what type of situations bring those up in you? I'd love to know.
Yeah, so I find that it's kind of hard these days to enjoy stuff that my mom would say I always enjoyed, or do hobbies that I always loved, but I always excuse it with maybe I'm just growing up. So I find that kind of hard to feel joy in some things. And I'm usually stressed out because high school, and I have a lot of responsibilities that I would much rather get my work done than go see a movie or something. So,
yeah. What type of things did you like to do before you felt this lack of enjoyment in them?
Well, I used to draw in my free time, paint and do some artistic things, because my older sister is in college for art, so she'd come home and give us her pastels or something. We just kind of draw with them, but now I find that I'm just more busy, and even when I want to take a break from being busy, it's I'd rather just kind of take a nap or just sit by myself or something like that.
Yeah. So what I'm hearing is you have a lot of things that are causing you some stress. Besides schoolwork, are there any other things that are causing you stress that you'd like to talk about?
Well, my friends, I don't have too many, but the friends I do have, they also struggle with some emotional things. So I'm always I'm the mother of the bunch. I'm always wanting to check up on them and make sure they're okay. So whenever they're not okay or something, I notice something's off with them, I always put them before anything. So before my schoolwork, then I get stressed out, or before family things, and then I get worried about too many things all at once. So I hate to call my friends a stressor, but sometimes there were littler things. They'll text me this code word for emergency, and I'll ask them what's up, and they'll say my dog doesn't want to play with me. So then I'll get really worked up, and then I'll get upset and angry and sad that they would kind of use me that way. But at the same time, I'm always ready for that. So.
Well, it sounds like you're a great friend because you really care about the emotional well-being of your friends, and I applaud that. That's a really great character trait to have. At the same time, do you think maybe you're not prioritizing yourself?
I wouldn't say that I know how to do that. I'm doing things that in the future will benefit me.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, I feel I am prioritizing myself, because I want friends in the future. So if I help them now, they can maybe help me later. But there's been a few times where I've reached out and I was really upset over something maybe small, and they will be, I'm too busy, take that to someone else, and that kind of stuff.
Well, that can be upsetting, and I can understand you feeling that way, especially when you've gone out of your way to be so helpful to your friends, and maybe you're not feeling that reciprocated. I hear that earlier that you felt like your mother and some of your teachers have that type of concern with you. Do you feel like you could take those concerns to them?
Well, at school, the teachers that really pick up on me, I'd say, it's very much a leadership follower thing, because I'm in a leadership course, and so it's very much a trainer noticed something, and so they would just refer me I need you to work harder and do better, and you can't do that if you're slacking, so go get help with your slacking.
Mm-hmm.
that kind of thing. And my mom, she works like 4 jobs, so if I do bring something to her, I already know she's overwhelmed, and I don't want to impede on her ability to do and think about other things. So I wouldn't want to be a burden.
Well, what I'm hearing is that you're a very selfless person, and you really care about the people around you, but I would like to remind you that it's okay to think about yourself in these situations sometimes, and in the long run, that'll help other people because they care about you. I'm sorry that you feel that your teachers and they care about you, but maybe not in an emotional well-being way. That can be frustrating. What types of things do you think are impeding those leadership roles, like that your teacher said?
Well, like one day, for example, I was in the back room, and my job is kind of like the cleaning and counting. For certain days of the week, it's maintenance, but because it's called maintenance and not anything else, it's logistics and maintenance, a lot of people will call me the cleaning lady. So like that can be really aggravating, especially when they're under me in class or rank, or they don't really know me that well. I put in a lot of extra work because I want to make sure everything I do is really like leaves a mark. So I would like work really hard and spend hours after school. I've even been sent home by the janitor coming to lock up the school for the afternoon at like 7 p.m. and I was still, working really hard. And the next day I'll come back to school and he'll say, what were you doing here last night? Were you sleeping? Because look at these floors, like there's footprints in here. And like, I can't like go up to him and be like, you're wrong and I'm right. I didn't do that. I cleaned, I counted, I did my job. I just have to accept what he says. So then I feel like I convince myself of like, yeah, he's right. I didn't work hard. I didn't do what I should have been doing. Maybe I did get sidetracked. Maybe I'm just too distracted and I'll be thinking about other things. So, but I always get really upset when he does tell me these things, and I have to go off somewhere privately and like, I usually start crying even though I don't want to. But like, that has happened a few times where I'll just be so overwhelmed with emotions for that few minutes or so.
Yeah, and so those events kind of serve as triggers for you. And I'm sorry to hear that they called you like a janitor or like a cleaning lady. That's definitely not something that makes you feel respected in the position that you're doing, especially with the hard work that you're doing. When would you say these emotions are the strongest? Would you say they're like the strongest after events like that?
Yeah, it's usually like when someone points out anything to me, which sounds pretty rough, but like, yeah, to me it just makes sense. Like, if I've made a mistake or told someone to do something incorrectly and I get corrected, of course I would be kind of emotional, but like the way people point it out is that like you're crying over nothing, or you really shouldn't take it this hard, like we don't do that, that's not normal. And like, I know a lot of people try to stand out, and I try to stand out through my work and not through myself, like personally, and I'm just always trying to like blend in. So whenever they say that's not normal and they say it like out loud to me, it really like knocks me down, and for a few days I'm really out of it.
Well, I'd like to tell you that while it's okay to take what those people are saying to heart, because of course you're going to do that, they're criticizing you and they're saying not nice things, please remember that you are your own person, and so there is no normal. And I have to remind myself of that. Sometimes we take the criticisms that other people have and the things that other people are doing and we set them as pedestals or things to look up to, but focusing on what someone else wants you to be, that might help them, but in the long term, if we're talking about helping you and furthering your future, put yourself in mind with those things. Because focusing on what someone else says is not going to, isn't going to make you feel good, obviously, especially when they're saying hurtful things that might be a reflection of some problem that they have in themselves, you know? Like, you're insecure about some things, but they probably have their own insecurities that you're not seeing as well.
Yeah.
So I hope you can take some more confidence in yourself, because I see some really great leadership roles that you have, and you obviously care about the people around you. So when you feel down on yourself for those things, maybe try to remind yourself of those, because I can see them and I just got to know you. So I hope that when you feel those intense feelings of maybe I'm not good enough, or, you know, like I didn't do a good job, think of the work that you put in, the previous applause that you've gotten from people, and remember that you did hard work to get to that position, and you're there for a reason.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. I hope we can talk about building up your self-esteem in some future sessions, because I see a lot of great potential in you, and maybe you don't see that in yourself right now, but I think if we worked on it, that could be something that would help you. Is that something that you're interested in doing?
Absolutely.
Okay, that's great. Thank you so much for sharing with me, Emily. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for talking to me. It helps.